welcome to INWED Talks, which is an initiative of the Women's Engineering Society that's here to celebrate International Women in Engineering Day, or INWED. And that's our global campaign that highlights and creates a sense of belonging through achievements, contributions, and the impact of women engineers, whilst inspiring future generations of women to pursue careers in engineering. So these INWED talks will be a series of conversations exploring the INWED theme of Together We Engineer through various lenses. And today, the lens is going to be professional registration, with insights from all three of this year's Women's Engineering Society Amazing Women winners. So I'm joined today by Kerry Evans, Lucy Davies, and Isobel Howe, and we'll introduce you in a little bit. So for some people joining, it might be worth just mentioning here that professional engineering registration is a key milestone at every stage of an engineer's journey, from engineering technician, incorporated engineer, and chartered engineer. And in this INWED talk, we'll explore how registration in engineering empowers individuals, supports professional growth, and strengthens the industry by ensuring high standards, credibility, and expertise. And I hope by bringing together you three amazing women in this INWED talk, we might reinforce the importance of representation and recognition for women in career progression. And in doing so, helping women in engineering access opportunities and the credentials to thrive. So let's dive in. It'd be really great if you could introduce yourselves very briefly, a little bit about where you work, and obviously your name. And let's start with you, Kerry. Would you like to kick off?
Thank you so much, Susan, for that introduction. So my name is Kerry Evans and I'm a chartered engineer. I won the Karen Burt Memorial Award with WES last year, which was an amazing honour. And that's for the best newly chartered engineer. And I was put forward by the IHE, the Institute of Highway Engineers, as that's who I did my chartership through. So it's a very, very, it was a really prestigious event, and I'm very humbled still by that award and being recognised in that way. So in my day-to-day life, I work on this bridge, as well as 40 kilometres of dual carriageway in North Wales across the island of Anglesey, and I'm a civil engineer focusing mostly on highways. So that's me.
Fantastic, and renewed congratulations, Kerry. You're, as we know, the Karen Burt Memorial Award winner does a lecture at the award ceremony in December, and as you know, because I've told you many times, you're one of my favourites because you're always super entertaining, super informative. Lucy.
Yes, hi everyone, I'm Lucy Davis. I'm an aerospace engineer at BAE Systems. I am an incorporated engineer, so I won the inaugural Incorporated Engineer of the Year with WES. I was nominated by the Royal, I've gone mixed up words here, the Royal Aeronautical Society. Because again, that's who I did my ING through. So I did that last year, and kind of the same as Kerry. It was amazing, both professionally and personally. It really helped my confidence in multiple different ways to kind of be recognised this way, both by my society and then by WES. And it was also great because I grew up in North Wales, so to hear Kerry's story about the Menai Bridge, because that was very close to my home. I'm now in the Northwest working in defence engineering on fighter jets.
Oh, very exciting. And I think I'm just going to pick you up there on that. I think we had that other lovely connection, didn't we, with the Menai Bridge, with our patron whose daughter the Karen Burt Memorial is there to remember. So he had previously studied in Wales and travelled many times across the bridge. There was a really lovely connection there. So that's lovely that the connection with Wales and the Menai Bridge has extended. Brilliant. Isobel.
Yep, sure. So hi, thank you obviously for putting this together. So I'm Isobel Howe, working as a product systems design engineer for Cummins. My registration status is EngTech, at the moment with Institution of Mechanical Engineers, who nominated me forwards. And my main piece of work, I'm an apprentice at the moment, so doing degree and job at the same time, and I'm working in power systems. And yeah, it was absolutely great honour to attend that awards ceremony and be nominated, and yeah, it was great.
Fantastic. And I think all three of you have mentioned your professional engineering institutions, and I think it's important to mention them at this point. We're working really closely with the PEIs to develop that strong bond, because we know that working with these industry actors is really going to together on these congruent goals around getting more women into engineering and enabling them to have more fulfilling careers. Those relationships are going to be key. So thank you for giving your PEIs a shout out. I think it's really key that we recognise those ones who are doing great stuff and who are supportive. So let's talk about the importance of professional recognition through your registration journey milestones. And we know that engineering is often built on experience, on expertise, on credibility. And we mentioned at the top of the session that registration helps you build those. And maybe we can come to you first, Isobel. How has your registration status changed the way you approach your work?
Okay, I think for a start, getting that initial EngTech status, I think a lot of the framing of the applications is talking about like your work, saying I, me, things like that, and that's something very much to get used to. And then on from that, going on to, at the moment I'm trying to work towards INWED, so sort of working to get those like skills, knowledge and behaviours for that has sort of shaped the way that I ask for work assignments and things like that. So I think that's a very helpful way you can use the guidelines to sort of shape how you want to do your work, because the only person who knows what you want to work on is you, and that sort of helps guide that, or at least for me anyway.
That's so amazing. Isobel, what's sorry, Lucy, what's would you say that's reflected in your experience as well?
Yeah, definitely. So kind of similarly with Isobel, I'm looking at going to the next stage. So I'm looking at moving on to my chartered engineer in the future. And I've been exactly the same, to be honest. I'm trying to like develop my career around my competencies, being able to reflect back both with my ING, but looking at my stage at the minute when I reflect at essentially where my gaps are, that's how I'm managing my career going forward. But the way I did that for my ING as well, and obviously reflecting on all the work I'd done to do my ING qualification, really built that confidence in me. It's not often that you do look back on all the different things you've done and kind of just document them. But even doing like skills matrices, I was like, wow, I've actually done so much, and that really boosted my confidence. It reminded me of the different skills, but also the different learnings I had from my experiences, because when you're kind of, you're really in the depth of engineering, it's very easy to keep moving on and forgetting. But having that dedicated time just to sit back and reflect on your own journey, it also brought back all those skills, all those learnings that helped me go. And I take those into all of my work now. So it's really positive to do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Kerry, you're sort of at the top of this journey. And I want to sort of ask you to reflect on particular challenges or maybe breakthrough moments along the way that really solidified your commitment to doing your professional registration, seeing as you're now at the sort of top of that. And perhaps you can, share some of those challenges and how you overcome them with Isobel and Lucy, it's great to hear you're both thinking about the next phase. So perhaps you can share some of your learnings, Kerry, around that.
Yeah, it's an interesting point that here I am as a chartered engineer, hurrah, reached the top, but actually my duty now is to ensure that there are professionals that come behind me. And so I am now, I've put myself forward as a reviewer as well. I'm currently a mentor for 2 women as well, because it's part of my responsibility as a professional engineer and a professional person to ensure that the industry moves forward with appropriate representation. So although, yes, finished in terms of professional registration, not quite finished with the institutions for sure. So one of the things I got my Eng Tech way back a long time ago, and I was looking at doing my iEng for a long time, but you know, I just didn't have the confidence in myself to do the iEng because it is so technically based. And so what I discovered actually was that because of my skill set as leader, with that foundation of technical knowledge, not necessarily in any detail in any given sector, it enables me as a client and as a leader to develop my chartership goals and my skills and knowledge to deliver project management within civil engineering, within highways, because I've got a broad knowledge. So I actually skipped from Eng Tech through to chartership. Now, that doesn't mean that, you know, it was a very nice, you know, hopping and skipping along for the past 15 years. What it does mean is that in that interim period, I felt as though I actually wasn't worthy of being an engineer because I had Eng Tech, great, but there was this gap which didn't demonstrate who I was and what I was capable of until I got my chartership. So how I addressed that was I engaged with Wes good few years ago now. It was actually just before COVID, and I got a mentor from Wes. He was absolutely brilliant. He was fantastic, and he just elevated my thinking and focus in a different direction. So I started a master's course, which was a pathway to chartership through the Engineering Council. And within 2 months of receiving that, I had sat my chartership review because it's what I wanted. And here we are today, basically. So although it's that thing of you may be performing at that level for many years, but until you get that certificate, it's just talk. And so I would urge everybody, engage with your institutions, volunteer for as much as you possibly can volunteer for. If people don't know who you are and what your face is and you know what you're capable of, you've got to get out there, you've got to talk to people. So going back to what Isobel was saying before, that change of narrative to me and I, as women, it's really difficult to be so expressive about our own achievements and who we are, because we're not supposed to have egos, but we do, guess what, because we're human. And so, you know, we do need to say, do you know what, I did a good job there and I'm going to reflect on that. It was great. What could I do better? What can I do more of, you know? And just to illustrate this is that last week there's a gap in my knowledge, and I've asked for a mentor as well. So even as a chartered engineer who is reviewing people and a mentor to other people, I've actually got a mentor to assist me filling my development gaps in some areas. So there we are. So I just wanted to actually ask Lucy, how, you know, considering what Isobel said about the I and the me narrative, how did you find that to overcome?
It was definitely difficult, and I think engineering is so team based because, like you've just been touching on, there's no one person who can do everything, and it's a journey of continuous development. We can't all know everything at once. So I also had a mentor, and mentoring for me was a really valuable part of my iEng, probably the biggest and the best thing I did about my iEng. So as soon as I knew I wanted to go for and get my iEng, I signed up for a mentor straight away. I did that through my business, so we have a kind of like a mentoring scheme. And it's someone that is now like a really good friend as well, because they were such a close mentor with me and worked so closely. But they did really help me, and she looked at how you reframe that thinking. And also what I really struggle with the UK spec is that obviously it's written for all of engineering, which is a really broad like area. It's then how you have to, so it's quite black and white. You have to think in the grey and how that applies to you. So that was something that she really has kind of helped me draw out of myself when you saw things it says about like leadership or management. And at the time, I'd never managed someone, and it's quite easy to think in very black and white. And you know, she was talking about, well, you might not have been a line manager, but you've been managing projects, you've been managing expectations and the different ways you manage. So that was quite a tricky one for me, that definitely
Lucy,
mentorship helped.
I'm just going to jump in there in case people don't know what UK spec is. I'm just going to jump in and say it's the Engineering Council's standard for professional engineering competence. I don't want to put you on the spot there, because I think sometimes we use these acronyms and we use them all the time. We know what they mean, but we don't know what they stand for. So I don't want to put you on the spot there, but I also wanted to make sure anyone listening who's maybe not familiar knew what that meant. And it's basically the competence and commitment requirements, isn't it, that you need for your registration journey. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, but Isobel, did you ever have mentors for your journey, or is it something that you'd look at for ING going forward?
Yeah, I had a mentor. My manager helped me very closely with EngTech, because he's very much into, you know, the UK spec, and also within IMEC, that's how I sort of got into there. And he's also the one that helped me with the awards application for this as well, which was very nice. And I took him with me as a massive thank you. And I think because of that dedication that I've seen in him to give other people, I've decided to also like join the, like Kerry said that she had, the review committee for my institution, which is a good step. So yeah, definitely did.
Oh, so you've done that as well, have you?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's important really to try and coach and guide others. So
yeah. Oh, that's so great. I mean, what a fantastic set of role models you are, that you've done it yourselves and then immediately your attention is turning back to helping people come up behind you. I think that's so inspirational, and just thank you all for thinking of others when, you know, a lot of people may just think of themselves. And as Kerry said, there's nothing wrong with tooting your own horn, and we perhaps need to do that a bit more. So sort of looking back, it'd be interesting to hear what advice, maybe there's some women who are thinking about starting their registration journey. Is there some sort of, I've heard that you've all drawn on mentorship, and some of you have drawn perhaps on peer support. Is there any sort of key things, like perhaps some other networks or some other tools and techniques that you drew on that you'd like to share with other women who may be just starting at the very beginning of their registration journey? Maybe Lucy, you can start with that.
Yeah, I'd a couple, to be honest, because I think, and it's so unique to everyone the way they found it, that I'd say networks as a whole. So wherever you get your network from, definitely rely on your network, because it's not an easy process. Otherwise, everyone would be a chartered engineer. So it's how you then rely on that, whatever your network is. So whether you look at your professional institution, or like through website, the others have said, mentorship, whether it's like friends and family, but just relying on that network. I found like a UK spec matrix really helpful, and the way I actually started my IEng, and I'm doing the same for my CEng, is just writing down every single experience I've ever had. And again, it was so useful just then reflecting back on my own career, but just writing them all down and not thinking about the UK spec, just saying I've done this, this, and this, and just like drawing out all your different experiences. And then I started looking at them against the spec and how they were relevant for different ones. And after I'd done all of that, and I might have said like 5 different kind of the sub-competencies were relevant for that one experience, I just listed all the ones that were relevant, and then I started thinking about which ones I wanted to use for that example. And obviously it's different for every institution as well. Each one does their application process a little bit differently. And I think the main piece of advice I'd say is about, you've got to think a little bit outside the box. It's not just as black and white as it reads. As I just mentioned, you've got to think about how that relates to you and your experiences, because it is written to be relevant to everyone. So you've just got to redraw it back to yourself. Again, think about the I and the me. What did I do? And how does my experiences fit into that? Because it's not going to perfectly fit to you from the first time, because it's not written for you. It's written to be every single type of engineering ever. So it's not easy. So again, you know, looking back to your network, people are, I think as engineers, we're not the best at giving ourselves credit. Obviously, this has been mentioned a few times. So your network will really help with that and help. Well, you know, you did this and that was really good. And then you did this. Of course that fits. You're just thinking about it, perhaps not in the right frame of mind, or you're not giving yourself the credit you deserve. So
yeah,
amazing.
And Kerry, as a leader and someone who manages people, what advice do you give to people in your team, perhaps, that you know, maybe drawing on some of those themes that Lucy picked up there? How do you kind of you know, what advice do you give them? Obviously, you've covered some of those things around mentorship, and but what advice do you give to people sort of thinking about this or starting out?
Well, I think, you know, it's, if you were to think of it in the strictest terms of project management, if the outcome is a professional qualification registration, what's your pathway to that? And you need to engage with the right people in the right way at the right time. Now, just because perhaps you don't go to your line manager to get that mentorship, it may be that actually the guidance you need, you don't really want to engage with somebody as a colleague. You know, you actually want that external influence because it's a soft skill exercise, or you want somebody to look at you in a very different light and get their feedback. For my team and for the ladies that I'm mentoring, I'm a huge believer in CPD. As professionals anyway, we do have to keep a CPD record, and I can tell you the year I got chartered, I was audited by the CIHT for my CPD record and the IHE.
Wow.
So for the CIHT one, that was first. That's the Chartered Institution of Highways and Transportation. And because I had literally just done my chartership, I sent them my CPD record within half an hour.
No one likes to show off, Kerry.
I know. I know. But putting that aside, you know, exactly like Lucy was saying there, and I guess it's the advice for Isobel as well. You're developing your plan, you've got your outcome, you know what you want to be, you know roughly how to get there. So you need to identify those different pockets of people who are going to give you their knowledge and expertise to reach it. And CPD is everything. A conversation with the line manager about how to answer a phone call or deal with a difficult email, that's 100% critical, because as you get more senior, you're engaging with businesses, you have a greater commercial outlook when you think about the company you represent and how your work impacts the success of your company. So that's my advice. CPD. If it's free, do it.
Amazing. Love that. And Isobel, you're obviously sort of you've got your EngTech under your belt now. What advice would you give to women just starting out on their registration journey?
I think one of the best things, and I think some of these points have been touched on before, but like being an apprentice, a lot of the things you do, you log absolutely everything, which is extremely helpful in so many scenarios, especially when you come up to that CPD time when, you know, you're going forward with your manager and having that one-to-one discussing about what you've done. It makes that so much easier. And another thing is, again, talking about the mentorship, I found it really good. I don't know if it's just because of the position I'm in, but it's been very easy so far just to reach out to people and say, hey, you know, I haven't worked with you before, but this is sort of what I need to do. Can you help me out with this? And every single time they're gone, yeah, sure, let's do it. And they're actually quite excited about it.
Yeah.
It's not like a hindrance on them. They're actually quite excited that someone's come to them and they're looking for some sort of learning off of them. So I'll say if you're hesitating, potentially asking someone or expanding your network in any way, whether it's at work, with your institution, with, you know, any other body, it's always worth just reaching out, asking, and yeah, doing it.
I think that's right. And anyone who knows me will know that I can wang on about networking until the end of time. So and you know, you're exactly right. You do meet some great people, and actually more often than not, people are so delighted that you come to them. And more often than not, people are really willing to help. So that's really great advice. I have to say, this is the first one of these talks I've recorded. I've absolutely loved talking to the three of you. And my final question, I mean, I've been blown away before I come into my final question about how focused all three of you are, how you've immediately turned your attention to giving back. I think that's a really lovely piece that all three of you share. So it's lovely that you've kind of come together in that. And I hope you three will stay together as a little group as the 2024 winners of the Registration Journey Awards, because I think you're a real powerhouse team as a trio. But I just want to finish really to hear what's next for you guys. What have you got your eyes on? And maybe, you know, I'm going to leave that open. You might want to talk about your end goal, or, you know, where you're heading in 5 or 10 years time, or you might want to talk about what's next this year. So I'll leave that up to you. And Isobel, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. So I've got quite an exciting year coming up. So finishing my degree this year, which would be good.
So good luck.
Yeah, thank you. And doing my endpoint assessment as well. So I'm really looking forward to getting that up and yeah, doing that.
Where are you doing that?
Yeah, so I'm based in Kent, so I'm doing my degree with Canterbury Christchurch and shared with Mid-Kent College as well. So it's split between two.
Yeah, fantastic. Sorry, carry on with your amazing.
No, that's okay. That's all good. Yeah, so I'm quite looking forward. We've got our final project coming up very soon, so I'm quite looking forward to getting into that and getting that going. And also got quite a few projects that have been given to me at the moment to try and help with that endpoint assessment piece. So again, I'm quite excited that I've been given those and continue through with them. So for the next year, it's going to be quite busy, I think, but definitely exciting.
Amazing, amazing. Good luck with everything, Isobel. I know we'll all be looking to see how you get on. So do let us know how you get on, because we're all interested. Lucy, what about you?
It's a big question. What's next for me? I guess looking at my CNs, as I've mentioned, just trying to make sure I'm aligning where I go next in my career, and not even just like big moves, but you know, small projects that I'm taking on and just tasks to keep me aligned to the UK spec, so I can do that at some point whenever I'm ready. Also, I've just taken over the role as chairwoman of the WISE Young Professionals Board. So quite similar to Wes, just trying to focus on getting more women into STEM and, you know, gender parity across the whole of the sector. And we're trying to support each other as well through our different levels of engineering accreditation and our professional registration journeys. So we've got a podcast about actually the route to registration. So just supporting.
What's that called, in case people want to?
The podcast is Unfiltered STEM, the WISE Young Professionals Board. It's one of like our mini series, but we're just trying to support each other and hold each other accountable as well, because it can, like I said, it's not always the easiest journey. So just making sure we have that support and accountability for each other. So that's another of my kind of key focuses, which is obviously very aligned to what we're doing today.
Yeah. Great stuff. No, good. And maybe we can put a link up to that podcast so people can go and have a listen. Kerry.
Well, I'm already planning my talk at the WES conference next year. No, I'm not.
Love it. It would not be the same without you, Kerry. It's the highlight for me. I love a talk by Kerry.
It was great this year. It was absolutely superb. I think for me, I can't really make long-term plans at the moment. Well, I've got wishes, of course, you know. Yes. I've got this idea of living in Scotland in a little cottage with 2 Labradors. When that will happen, who knows? In the meantime, I'm doing my PhD research into the gender relations between civil engineers and environmental professionals. So it's cracking on with that, really, and I'm doing really well. No, I don't know if I'm doing well, to be honest. I will find out next month when I see my supervisors, who are amazing.
I'm sure you are, because you put everything into everything, and I just can't believe that you're not doing well. But good luck with that.
Thank you. So that's it. That's it. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for arranging it. And it's lovely to speak with you, Isobel and Lucy, again. It's lovely to see you.
Yeah, really lovely group. I love you three together. It'd be good to sort of do more. I think we're trying to do a bit more for our sort of communities and sub-communities in WES. And I think the registration journey winners or alumni, it will be a really great community for us to start building. And I think you three have just, hopefully it inspires others as well to nominate themselves. I mean, don't be shy in nominating yourself or encouraging your PEI to nominate you, because I'm sure people listening to this talk will look at you and find you, all three of you, inspiring. So let's see. And we'll see, hopefully, all three of you at the Caroline Hazlitt lecture in December next year, and you can meet the new winners. But thank you so much for your time today. It's been really, really lovely talking to all three of you, and we're excited to see what you do next. So thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye then.
Thank you.